Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the Victoria Police Department announcing a new change, what it could mean for funerals, that's just ahead. And the Port of Victoria is a step closer to welcoming a new kind of plant to the region. Those details are coming up. Plus, how federal cuts are impacting the fishing industry in the U.S.
And spring break may be over with, but the spring weather, that is surely going to continue with us, especially in South Texas with warm temperatures. But I hope y'all enjoyed the rain this morning, because guess what? We got more rain chances coming away. We'll talk about that in the weather coming up.
The season of powerlifting here in Victoria is wrapping up, and Victoria East Powerlift coach won Coach of the Year. We'll hear a word from him coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Monday. Hope you're having a great start to your week post spring break.
Post spring break.
Maybe some of you are going on spring break this week.
That's right. Maybe you didn't even go on spring break at all.
Well, Parker, now that you're back, I can ask you, are we safe now from this fire danger, or do we need to keep our eyes on, outdoor burning?
Yeah, for now, we're actually pretty decent. In fact, if you stepped out the door for a moment or so, you actually probably noticed it is quite humid out there. You're looking live in Victoria. We are starting out the day a bit cool, 56 degrees right now. All that thanks to that weak front that came through. You may have noticed that brought us the rain this morning. We'll look at that here in a second, because dew point, like I said, matching that is bringing us a high humidity of 100%, and that is enough to see fog, but we have a little bit of mixing kind of moving through the atmosphere right now. So I'm not really expecting any kind of dense fog. This computer right here says 3-mile visibility, but that's not dense, so don't worry about that this morning. You can actually see on your radar, don't worry about rain either. It's not raining out there right now. All that is pushed out to the east. But if we rewind about 4 or 5 hours ago, back to about midnight time, that's when we had this line of storms that moved through the crossroads, and you can actually see all the special weather statements. That's those tan boxes right there, kind of flashing here and out. That's because we had some wind gusts earlier this morning, reported as high as 55 miles an hour. That's what prompted those weather statements to go up. So I hope all of your lightweight items are okay outside. But today you can see temperatures are only a little bit cooler thanks to that very weak front that passed through the region, only starting out at about the mid-50s, upper 50s, and low 60s this morning. So if you're sitting your kiddos at the door, it's going to be just like it is right now, just a tad bit cool and humid, but it's going to be surely another warm afternoon. Look at the details coming up next.
A big change coming for funeral processions in Victoria. VPD is ending funeral escorts, leaving families and funeral homes to make new arrangements. On Monday, April 14th, the Victoria Police Department will suspend routine funeral escorts. Funeral directors have been officially notified of the suspension, and the department has said at this time no alternative solution is in place. For now, the responsibility falls on funeral homes to inform families of their transportation options on the day of the funeral. Despite the absence of police escorts, families must still obey all traffic laws while in procession. The department urges caution and patience on the roads, especially for those traveling in funeral processions. Victoria County Commissioners meet at 10 this morning. Here are some items from their agenda. They'll hear an update from the Victoria Office of Emergency Management regarding inclement weather centers, and they'll also hear a presentation from the city manager about the proposed community center expansion and renovation. And they'll also consider a resolution supporting the transfer of UHV, the potential transfer of UHV to the Texas A&M system. They meet in room 241 on the second floor of the courthouse at 115 North Bridge Street. The jury summit for 8:30 this morning at the Victoria County Courthouse has been canceled. The summons will not be rescheduled. The City of Victoria is hosting 2 meetings to inform residents about the proposed venue tax on the May 3rd ballot. The proposal raises the hotel occupancy tax from 7% to 9% and adds a 5% short-term rental car tax. The estimated $11 million in revenue from these taxes will help fund the $35 million Victoria Community Center renovation project. The meetings will be come and go on March 31st from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and April 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. Both meetings will be held at the Victoria Community Center at 2905 East North Street. The Port of Victoria is one step closer to welcoming First Ammonia as the latest addition. The Texas Commission of Environmental Quality's draft permit moved past the public comment stage on March 18th. First Ammonia is looking to build a green ammonia plant, and the TCEQ says there are several special requirements to ensure the protection of human health and the environment. Since ammonia can impact air quality, the TCEQ says potential impacts to human health and welfare or the environment are determined by comparing the applicant's proposed air emissions to the appropriate state and federal standards. The TCEQ says First Ammonia has 18 months to start construction from when the draft permit was first issued. We reached out to the Port of Victoria and First Ammonia, and we're waiting to hear back. The IRS and the Department of Homeland Security appear closer to finalizing an information agreement. It would enable ICE to submit names and addresses of people who may be in the U.S. illegally. The source says the IRS could then cross-reference and confirm that information. The president's supporters say his immigration policies are what voters want. Critics say involving the IRS could endanger taxpayer privacy. The agency works under laws that usually prohibit the release of personal information. And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know, do you agree with the IRS and Homeland Security information sharing agreement? All right, let's take a look. 43% of you say yes, and 57% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. We now turn to spending cuts made to federal programs in Washington and how they could be taking a bite out of the fishing industry.
This morning, a freeze on regulations and cuts to federal spending in Washington appear to be taking a toll on an industry we haven't heard much about recently, the fishing industry.
The fishery stakeholders across the U.S. have lost a voice. We've lost our access to the agency that governs our livelihoods if we're commercial fishermen.
From the Atlantic to Alaska, fishermen say they rely on NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, to manage coastal fisheries, affecting how and where they do business. The agency sets quotas and helps determine the start and close of fishing seasons.
We follow the weather closely. And then the work with stock assessments affects our fishery in quotas and in bag limits on an annual basis. The work that they do regulates our industry in that what we can and cannot fish for, what times a year, how many we can take.
More than 160 NOAA employees dealing with fisheries were reportedly fired last month. Industry experts tell Reuters the changes in Washington have raised the risk of delaying the start of the fishing season for some East Coast cod and haddock fleets. They say it's also allowed for the overfishing of bluefin tuna off North Carolina, which could mean reduced quotas for fishermen in New York and New England, where the fish migrate north this summer, potentially driving up prices. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
3 teens are dead and 4 suspects are in custody after a Friday night mass shooting in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Police announced Sunday 4 suspects were arrested: 20-year-old Tomas Rivas, 2 17-year-olds, and a 15-year-old whose identities are not being released because of their ages. All 4 are charged with 3 open counts of first-degree murder. The shooting also left 15 people injured. A correction to a story we reported last week. The governor announced $239 million to expand mental health care in rural Texas, with $40 million of that coming to Victoria County. The goal is to keep those struggling with acute psychiatric illnesses closer to home for treatment instead of sending them to major cities. Last week, we reported that this money was going to Hope Ranch, and that is not correct. They will not be receiving the funds. It will be going to Victoria County, and the county judge and commissioners will oversee the use of the funds. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now, looking at our clock up here at 6:39 on our Monday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. A fee is back in place at a coastal favorite in the Crossroads. We have the story.
Today, a key hearing in the legal battle between the Trump administration and the courts themselves. I'm Christiane Cordero with the latest from Washington. Coming up.
And also coming up next after the break, in the short-term forecast for today, going to be a bit of a warm one all across beautiful Texas. So coming up next, I'll tell you how warm I think it's going to be near you, and later we'll look at those rain chances. Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live and clear and cool. Cuero, we are starting out the day at about 60 degrees flat in Cuero, so make sure to grab that, maybe like a light jacket if you're headed out the door. It is a little bit cool. Dew Point, though, 3 degrees off at 57 is bringing us the high humidity of 89%, but we are seeing higher values around the Crossroads. But I do want to let y'all know one more time, don't worry about fog this morning. You can see that right here on your visibility map. None of that really to worry about this morning. But don't worry about it this morning, but worry about it tonight. Also tomorrow night, and maybe again on Wednesday night as well, because as you can see, we have more fog that is coming back at the Crossroads as early as 10 p.m. tonight, actually, for Monday night. And going all the way through the overnight hours, you can see the fog will encompass all of our counties. So make sure to be careful if you're going to be traveling tonight. Same thing with tomorrow night, and maybe again, like I said, on Wednesday night as well. Well, where's all the fog coming from? Well, for the whole last week, we had to deal with dry fire weather. Now, the southerly winds are coming right back to the Crossroads, and that's bringing up that humidity. As you can see, it's high, it's very high tonight, which is why we have more possible fog, but the humidity will stay high like that for the rest of this week with the winds continuing out of the south. That is going to bring back some cloud cover later this week and some energy moisture for rain chances. We'll look at that later because today it is not going to be cloudy. We're going to have lots of sunshine. You can see that right here in the future clouds of radar. That beaming Texas sun today should bring us a warm one. Thinking already about 80 at noontime, but in the afternoon looking for mid and upper 80s for everybody today. Before overnight tonight, underneath increasing clouds, we will be dropping lows down to low and mid 60s. But southerly winds today, we do have high tree pollen, so maybe take an allergy pill, but maybe do that for the rest of this week. We have more southerly winds before those rain chances are finally here Thursday and Friday. All that coming up next.
So early last week, we talked about Victoria East getting ready to send their boys to the Powerlift State Meet, and their head coach, Marcus Hernandez, won Coach of the Year. I was able to catch up with him for a quick word.
I think it comes with the culture that I just do my best to create. It's not a, hey, you need to be here. Oh, hey, this came up. I'm sorry. Hey, there's punishment for that. I kind of like to take the approach of being more understanding that, these kids have lives outside of this weight room. And, they're teenagers. They're full of emotions. They're full of activities and doing things. And I try to gear it more towards, hey, we're a family. Let's help each other out. I'll work with you if you work with me. Kind of a mutual respect type of thing with them.
All right, and speaking of those top performers from this weekend state meet, Jose Lugo is a state champion in his weight division with a weight totaling 2,070 pounds. Noah Kano finished 4th place. Draven Garza finished 8th place in his weight division. Mason Guads finished 6th place, all in their respected weight divisions. Big congratulations to those. Make sure you see my full story with Coach Marcus Hernandez on our YouTube page, Crossroads Today. But that does it for your sports. Until next time, I'm Ray Robinson.
Today, an appeals court will begin to weigh in on the president's use of the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act, which he used to deport hundreds of suspected Venezuelan gang members. Trump and his allies continue to speak out against the judge in the case as he considers whether the administration defied his court order.
This morning, an escalating legal battle between the Trump administration and the courts themselves takes its next step. 3 judges on an appeals panel are set to hear the case over Venezuelan migrants recently deported to El Salvador as the administration tries to get the original judge off the case.
Despite what he thinks, we're going to keep targeting the worst of the worst.
Judge James Boasberg ruled the administration improperly used the 18th century Alien Enemies Act to deport more than 200 Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. The migrants are alleged gang members, though the families of several dispute that claim, and according to sworn testimony, ICE officials say many have no violent criminal record in the U.S. The administration went forward with the deportations despite the judge's ruling, and today, Boasberg is scheduled to decide whether that move defied his court order. President Trump, his cabinet, and several congressional Republicans have called for the judge's impeachment.
This is an out-of-control judge, a federal judge trying to control our entire foreign policy, and he cannot do it.
In his fact-finding mission about the timing of the deportations despite his court order, Boasberg asked the administration share information. What they handed over last week, he said, was, quote, woefully insufficient. As the fight between Trump and the courts heats up, so do protests against Trump's policies. Hundreds of people gathered in Richmond, Virginia over the weekend. The backdrop, St. John's Church, where founding father Patrick Henry made his "Give me liberty or give me death" speech 250 years ago. And over the weekend, Venezuela continued accepting deportation flights from the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem plans to visit Central America this week, making a stop at the prison in El Salvador where those migrants were deported to. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The days of free trips to the beach are over after Port Lavaca City Council reestablished a fee for entrance at Lighthouse Beach. Port Lavaca City Manager Jody Weaver says the toll to enter Lighthouse Beach has always been around, but the toll has been closed due to difficulties of keeping a manned toll booth and the COVID-19 pandemic. But with the city's ability to bring in an automated toll booth, the entry fees will be enforced. The automated toll gate should be operational by mid to late summer. All funds collected will go toward maintaining Lighthouse Beach. The prices will be $5 for an all-day pass and $25 for a year pass. Construction is well underway at Victoria College, where a major expansion project is set to transform student services. The three-story expansion of renovation of the existing student center will place student resources under one roof. Students will have convenient access to the library, admissions, advising, financial aid, testing, and more. The $36.5 million project steadily moving forward. The college broke ground on the building in January 2024. It's scheduled to be finished by the fall in time to celebrate the college's 100th anniversary. The time is now 6:48 on our Monday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, some news for consumers. What direction the price of gasoline is headed.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure a lot of y'all saw that 7-day forecast a few moments ago, or you heard me talking about it earlier, and you heard me talking about rain chances coming back. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the rain that we had this morning, because looking at your satellite, you can actually see where all the rain is located at right now. All the very, very tall thunderstorms are moving into western parts of Louisiana, and then after that, moving into eastern. We're talking like New Orleans area and the bays over there. But that is not going to bring us any more rain, and actually is going to bring us some sunny skies for the next 48 hours. You can see that right here on satellite. Very dry air up above our heads, clearing in, filtering in behind it with the northerly winds behind it. But if we look over to the west, we have another low system that we're going to be tracking over the next several days, especially later this week. Here it is right here. It's a little bit farther in the southern Pacific than what we usually track. Usually they're up here in the central or western Pacific, but with it very weak right now, you can see it barely spinning at all. Because it's very weak, it is going to be traveling towards us very, very slowly, and that very slow lows movement is going to bring us multiple days of moisture flooding into our upper atmosphere, bringing us cloud cover and rain chances before it finally pushes off and we're right back to sunshine for the weekend. Now here it is. As we go into Wednesday and Thursday, that system will come off of the mountains on late Wednesday, and that will bring us, like I said, cloud cover starting on Wednesday, but more importantly, rain chances, with chances up to 70% for Thursday and Friday before that system pushes off. And like I said, we're looking at a little bit more sunshine clearing in for the weekend. But for rain totals, we're looking pretty good. Probably going to be about an inch, maybe 2 inches for some of us in the Crossroads, and we badly need it considering we are still under a severe and extreme drought. And we'll look at all that and more later on Sunrise.
There's some good news for consumers as the price of gasoline is down, at least for now. The national average price for regular grade gasoline is down 2 cents in the past 2 weeks to $3.12 per gallon. That's a drop of 9 cents in the past month. However, as spring and summer demand increases, retail gas prices are likely to climb back up. But they may be followed by dramatic price hikes by the end of this month as the more expensive spring and summer blends enter the gas pool. In Texas, the average cost is below the national average at $2.76 per gallon. And in Victoria, residents can see an average cost of $2.66 per gallon. Crowds gathered across the country to protest in response to the president's push to privatize the United States Postal Service. More than 200 demonstrations nationwide were organized by the National Association of Letter Carriers. It comes after the president said last month he was considering an executive branch takeover of the USPS. Those at the rally said privatization could result in service cutbacks. As the debate continues, rally organizers are urging the public to contact lawmakers and oppose privatization efforts. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. The Pope is now home after an extended hospital stay. We have the details. Francis made his first public appearance in more than 5 weeks. The pontiff smiled and greeted a cheering crowd from his window at the hospital on Sunday, where he had been hospitalized with pneumonia. Francis appeared to make the sign of the cross to the crowd before he was taken back into his room. Minutes later, he could be seen waving from the backseat of a car as a convoy left the hospital. Palestinian Health Ministry officials say more than 50,000 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7, 2023. It equates to more than 2% of 2.3 million people living in the enclave. Last week, Israel broke the 2-month ceasefire with Hamas resuming airstrikes and ground operations in Gaza that killed nearly 700 people. Netanyahu has vowed to intensify those operations until Hamas returns the 59 dead and living hostages. The Justice Department has filed new accusations against a Columbia University graduate student arrested by immigration officers on the school's campus earlier this month. The new documents filed on Sunday accuse Mahmoud Khalil of engaging in immigration fraud. Documents say Khalil failed to disclose several details about his background during his green card application process. Khalil's lawyers deny their client has any ties to Hamas, and they're demanding his release. Goliad County Commissioners meet at 5 p.m. today in the Goliad County Courthouse. They'll discuss a big topic in the area surrounding the Fannin Monument. And commissioners may take action on whether they'll commit to a $1 million sale of the monument to the Texas Historical Commission. The court will decide on a burn ban notice as well. And we want to invite you to experience your new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a look at a hopeful sunrise. As we get closer to the summer, it gets brighter and brighter around this time of the morning each day, doesn't it, Parker?
That is right, Carolina. And in fact, that's exactly why we're looking at a sunrise this time. Last week, we were looking at a dark sunrise. There wasn't a sunrise. Right now, you got some pretty colors over the water. And actually, if you look really closely, right there, way over the water, that is the rest of the line that is officially pushed out of our area. We don't have any rain in the area, so don't worry about an umbrella this morning. Maybe grab a jacket, though. It is a tad bit cool after that rain-cooled air has filtered through the area. It's 61 in Port Lavaca. Everybody else is in the mid and upper 50s this morning, so tad bit cool. But for today, that sun is going to come out, and it's going to bring us another nice warm day. So Fisher today, looking for nice smooth waves out there with your winds nice and light, shifting from the east to the southeast later today. High tide is going to be this evening with your low tide in the late morning hours, with your water temperature starting to warm back into the mid and upper 70s. But air temperatures on the coast going to be warm, so maybe grab some water with you. 84 for the high today in Port Lavaca underneath that beaming Texas sun. A little bit warmer in Victoria. I'm thinking 87 today, and about the same thing in Aquarium, maybe a little bit cooler. I'm thinking 86 for the high today. But if that wasn't warm enough for you, just wait for tomorrow, y'all, because tomorrow we're going to be back to 90. And then for the rest of this week, we're staying in the 80s, still a little bit warm out there. But what is that? Are those raindrops on your screen? Yes, we have more rain chances yet again later this week, so get excited.
Well, we are looking forward to that. Maybe it'll keep that burn ban in Goliad away. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. Get out of here.
All right, well, thank you for being with us this morning. Join Shauna, Dawn, Maclovio, and Max tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.